Hi guys, Mr. Hescox back, talking life science. Chapter 1, we are still into characteristics of life. We need to go back and review those real quick. I have to finish up with the molecules of life. We're going to talk a little bit of organic chemistry, very little, not a ton, just the four most important ones. So let's get back into it here. So, characteristics of life. All life is made of cells. Cells need energy. Organisms must adapt. Organisms must respond to stimulus. Organisms reproduce. And organisms must grow and develop. That's 6. We're going to talk about the 4 organic compounds. And you should have already had your homework done. Make sure you watch this video. It is really good. I'll play it for the people in class, but I like it a lot. I've been using it for years. I actually borrowed it from the high school. All things are made of matter. Matter is any substance that has mass and takes up space. Mass is how much stuff there is, space is how much volume it takes. Most organisms are made up of carbon, which we abbreviate capital C, hydrogen, we abbreviate capital H, and oxygen, which is O. Compounds are when 2 or more atoms are attached. Living things are made of organic compounds, and those compounds are formed of chains and carbon, and I'll show you some pictures of those here shortly. The first of the 4 organic compounds is a carbohydrate. This is like the big buzzword right now. Carbohydrates are not evil. Carbohydrates give you energy. But if you eat too many carbohydrates, you store that energy. We as humans have the ability to store excess energy, which is actually an adaptation, as fat. Now, fat is not a carbohydrate. But a carbohydrate is going to be starches and sugars. So you got tomatoes, you got pasta here. Those are all carbohydrates. Now this right here is actually a diagram of glucose. Now some years I have diabetics in here, but this is the sugar that all of this stuff is divided down into, and it actually is the sugar that's inside your blood. So all of that is your blood sugar. The next one are lipids. Lipids are fats and oils. So the pictures that I have here, this is one of the most important ways that lipids are for your body. This is a cell membrane, and when we get to the chapter on cells, we'll talk a lot about it. But these are called phospholipids. So this is the outside of the cell membrane, this is the other side of the cell membrane, and on the inside, these are the lipids that actually make the barriers to your cell. And another example, this is olive oil. I use a lot of this when I'm cooking. But oils and fats, like the fat in bacon or just the fat around my tummy, are lipids. And that is a higher level of energy storage than carbohydrates. Proteins are used to build and repair cells. We will get into proteins when we talk about amino acids. Now, these are examples of proteins. You've got what looks to be like some cheese, some chicken, some fish, this is salmon specifically, and maybe a big pork roast here. All of your meats are very high in protein. Your body needs proteins to do a lot of the things that you do. Now, if we could zoom in on one little tiny protein, it would look like these coils and coils and coils of amino acids, and this is one protein zoomed in. The last branch of organic molecule we're going to talk about are the nucleic acids. Nucleic. This is DNA and RNA. DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. Now, this is a picture that I took from Google down here. You can see deoxyribonucleic acid. DNA is a little bit different than RNA. RNA is a single strand. RNA is ribonucleic acid. It's right there. Ribonucleic acid has one single strand and it has one different letter base, where DNA has the T, RNA has a U. DNA is double-stranded, RNA is a single strand. A lot of scientists think that the RNA was on Earth before DNA. It's more advanced. but we don't really know that for sure. Make sure you're watching all of the videos. This little video here by the Amoeba Sisters talks about all 4 compounds and a little bit more in depth. All right, so now I'm going to pause it again. Each one of these pictures represents one of the organic molecules. I'm going to pause it. I want you to come up with the answers for which one is a carb, which one is a lipid, which one is a nucleic acid, and which one is a protein. So I'm going to pause this now. We'll come back in a few seconds and you guys can tell us your answers. Did you take a couple minutes and write them out? All right, so this is pasta. Did you guess carbohydrate? If you did, you were correct. How about the jar of oil? Well, oils and fats are lipids. Look at this corkscrew molecule. This is a molecule here. This is specifically DNA, which fits into the nucleic acid. And this one's DNA, in case you're playing along at home. And how about that big steak? What's the steak? Well, the only one left is a protein. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes all of the molecules of life. Now, these are actually part of the characteristics of life. If you have any questions, come find me, send me an email, and you have a great day and be safe.